QAnon, which is what that's all the Democrats and the media want to talk about. I think most conservatives don't even know what this is. They haven't even heard of this. This is an internet meme, right? But the press, they're writing about it all the time like this is the end of the world. So what is the Q thing? I, like President Trump, also don't really know much about it. But unlike Democrats, I do think we should take the fact that this movement exists seriously. I don't think we need to worry about anything. I don't think it's the end of the world. But the fact that there is such an internet meme that's become, something of an activist movement, what does it mean? I take BLM seriously. I don't take BLM's claims seriously, but I take BLM seriously, and I wonder, why did this rise up? So same thing with Q. The reporter brought up three things: religion, weird sex, and cannibalism, right? Satanism, and then pedophilia, and then cannibalism. What does that mean? Well, as I mentioned earlier, at the 2012 DNC, you had the Democrats booing God. You now have BLM top leftist activists calling for churches to be smashed, images of Christ and the Virgin Mary to be smashed. You have statues of Saint Junipero Serra being torn down. It seems pretty clear that there is a religious battle going on. As Henry Edward Cardinal Manning said, at bottom all human conflict ultimately is theological. So you've got this religious battle brewing. I mean, the people leading the BLM riots, right, the founders of that organization, are Marxists. They're atheists. Again, and you see this constant sort of attack on religious Americans, the bitter clingers clinging to their Bibles. That image that irritated the left so much was Trump holding up a Bible outside a church that they were trying to burn down. So there is clearly a religious issue going on. How about the weird sex? There's plenty of weird sex going on. Obviously, there's the Jeffrey Epstein thing that seems to involve every prominent leftist in America. But even, there's a show now on Netflix. It's called Cuties. My wife showed me this last night. She showed me the trailer for it. It's about 11-year-old like go-go dancers or something. Listen to this description. This is just from the Netflix website. Cuties. Amy, age 11, becomes fascinated with a twerking dance crew. Hoping to join them, she starts to explore her femininity, defying her family's traditions. That is like pedophile catnip. How on earth, what sicko executive at Netflix allowed this thing to go up? Like, I know, sometimes we hear all these crazy people on the internet, they talk about how there's pedophilia going on all over the place. Well, how do you explain that? That's pretty weird, isn't it? There's like a show about 11-year-olds twerking and exploring their femininity against their family's wishes. That's weird. Like, Jeffrey Epstein flying around on an airplane with Prince Andrew and all these top, mostly left-wing politicians. He was a member of Mar-a-Lago, so there are photos of him with Trump too. But Bill Clinton apparently flew on his plane like 27 times. That's weird. Isn't that weird? That's a little weird, isn't it? So clearly there's some weird sex thing going on. And by the way, the only thing anyone talks about these days is sex. That's why LGBTQ goes now 26 alphabet letters long. Because people, beyond this question of pedophilia, people are just obsessed with sex. They're talking about sex all the time. So there's that aspect going on. And then cannibalism. There are some real cannibals like Reza Aslan, formerly of CNN, who ate human brains on television. Actually did that. Isn't that weird? That's a little weird too. But there's this issue of cannibalism at a cultural level, which I think is actually what's going on here. We are eating ourselves alive. We are devouring our own culture, right? Cannibalism has a kind of metaphorical meaning as well. People are just devouring themselves because they've run out of other things to consume. Obviously we see that now. We're tearing down our own history. We're tearing down our own art. We're covering up our own art. We're destroying our own politics, destroying our own institutions. Frankly, Reza Aslan aside, there's much more evidence of a cultural cannibalism, a civilizational cannibalism, than of a personal cannibalism. Those things are all real, okay? And the media right now are asking about the QAnon thing. They're asking about a bunch of internet memes. They should be asking themselves about what the phenomenon means. The fact that people are worried about Satanism and pedophilia and cannibalism. Why? What does that tell you about your culture? If these mainstream media journalists had two brain cells to rub together, they would be able to see some real insight in the very fact of these phenomena. Just like I encourage the left, consider the fact of BLM. Why has this thing risen up? So too, I would encourage the left Consider why these things that you're so obsessed with, consider why they've risen up. But that would require introspection, and of course, they're not capable of that.
Slowly kisses passing by the river. I've been missing your strawberry kiss, 'cause nothing as sweet the taste still drive me crazy. My strawberry